Good morning, people.
It's Tuesday.
Well, it might be afternoon where you are if you're where Katie's at, but it's morning to me.
It's true. It's
true. So, and look, got my nice, lovely Live Happens mug, so you can fill it with the cafe con leche. It's actually just cafe con cafe because it's that word.
I'm still rocking coffee right now. It's like late morning, early afternoon time period.
Okay, we're gonna start singing "It's Late in the Evening." Anyway, guys. First of all, we'll do some housekeeping real quick. See, I can't even speak already. We are here for the live taping of The Flow. This is our second version, but today the brand new first version just hit the podcast stands.
We did it. I checked my phone this morning. It was like official. It was there. I hit the subscribe button. I saw it. I was so excited. I took a screenshot. I posted it everywhere. So yeah,
cool.
It worked. It worked, okay, everyone. We're official.
Not my official first launch of a podcast. I've launched many.
Doc's like, whatever.
No, but it feels good every time. That's the point.
Yeah.
It's kind of a trip. It feels different and it's new every time. It's not different from buying a house.
Yeah.
And I woke up today to a fantastic message from Janice. Thank you, Janice. I got to say hello to Janice just real quick. She sent me a fantastic message because remember Jeff from People of Video last year, Jeff Bartz, the story Greenlight? So I was on his podcast recently and he just posted answers, just posted that video version of it to YouTube. So I put it on my community tab, and I guess Janice had a chance to watch it, and so she left me a scathing review, which I appreciate. So that is called the segue, people. Pay attention. What we want to remind you is if you went to your podcast aggregator and you listened to the first episode of The Flow, or from here to 4, you're going to listen to the first episode of The Flow. If you like it, please leave us a review. Leave us a review. I am not Anna Hill. I'm not going to say things in my Spanish voice. It would be really horrible, and I don't have the hair for it.
Anna would do a much better job.
Right. So I'm going to say, please leave us a review. I know many podcasters say, and I agree with them, but I don't want to be picky. You can leave the review wherever you leave the review. Most podcasters
wherever you're listening or watching or
iTunes.
Reading. The cool thing about this and what was super fun about it and what we are focused on with this particular podcast is that we are a video podcast. We are live. We're doing live to tape, which is what you're experiencing right now. We're on all of the major podcast platforms, and we also have all of our show notes and our run of show up on the blog. So, you can, whether you're watching, listening, live chatting with us, or or you want to read things because you're too busy for all this nonsense and you want the brass tacks, what do you need to do? All of that is available, and it all hit this morning for episode 1, and a week from today it'll hit for this episode. So if you need anything, you can find it in all of the different places. YouTube, the blog, the flow.ecamm.com for listening, and all of your favorite podcast platforms.
There you go. There's a quick screenshot of that. If you're checking this out live, you can get the recordings at flow@ecamm.com. And of course, we put a edited version of the video here. If this typing stuff doesn't work, yeah, sorry, there you go. I muted myself. You can peep out the QR code if, taking screenshots of things like that doesn't work for you as well. So you're good to go either way whatsoever. Okay, so really good that you answered that question because Janice just asked about the run of show. And I meant to tell her last week, hey, it was easy. We just said we're going to do the housekeeping, we're going to record the podcast, and at the end we'll answer questions. That was the entire run of show. The one thing that we did do ahead of time, which, I think you guys should know, is we did figure out what will be the 3 main questions or 3 main talking points.
Yep.
And the cool thing about this show and why I like it so far, Katie is asking the questions the way you guys would ask the questions because she has about the same amount of experience podcasting as you. And if it were,
I'm here. I am your advocate.
right.
For
So if
this
it was up to
experience,
me, and this is a very cautious statement for those of you guys who've been doing something for a while and you're doing your podcast on that. I don't think I would ask the same questions because I've literally been podcasting since '04. So
Yeah.
you kind of forget. Like, if someone asks you, how do you tie your shoes right now? Unless you've recently taught a child, you probably don't know. You just do it. You just get up and choose. If you recently taught a child, then you know something about the rabbits and woods. And I don't even know what the heck that is. You know what I'm saying? I've never taught anyone else how to tie their shoe. So I have no clue. So I really appreciate it because it gives me a chance to go bare metal, which means back to the beginning. I shouldn't use weird acronyms, but it gives me a chance to go bare metal and think about it holistically from what would I do if I were doing it again. So thanks for that approach, Katie, and I think it will do really, really well for the homies at home.
Yeah, and I will say that like some episodes, like last week's and this week's, are a bit more kind of on the, just more of an open discussion. But we will be doing episodes in the future that are a little bit more tutorial based. So I know that many people, including me, have questions about the different tools and apps and techniques and processes. So we will be diving deep into those. But today we're entirely focused on kind of the bigger picture starting points so that you have a really full circle picture. But if you have any questions about podcasting or video podcasting, anything in this sphere, you can always email flow@ecamm.com, and we'd be more than happy to fit your question into one of the three we cover each week. So feel free to send it in. We're always happy to hear that and happy to take that feedback.
There you go. And I just posted the link for Parker because he wasn't following.
Parker, we got you. I saw it on my phone. I know it's there.
Yeah, because that's how I said my note. I use many podcasting apps before, and we probably should do a whole episode on various podcasting apps.
Yep.
But I don't know how I did this. I ended up back at the regular Apple Podcast app. And the reason why I say that is for us nerds, we all ran away from it because it used to be really horrible. Now it's pretty good. So I think I started using that, but we'll go through the list later. But let's dive into this one today. We got some cool stuff to talk to you about. And so the only housekeeping things that we like to remind you again, and Katie already brought some attention to it, is we will do Q&A once we're done, and we'll get to you. Please make sure you mark your questions with a Q so that way the Dunkinator can find it and then let us know,
Paul.
or I can see it. And then, thanks, Paul. I had some Dunkin' today, but it's not donuts. It's not even just, it's coffee. And then the other thing is that, again, if you like this podcast, please drop us a review over in your podcast aggregating spot. And let's get ready to rock the flow. I thank you guys for coming to the live taping. The recording of this taping, that's not what I said. The edited version of this taping will come out next Tuesday. So for this Tuesday, you get to listen to what we did last week. And the video version does exist on this exact same channel. So you get this version, you get the edited version if you're pressed for time. And either way, let's get ready to rock. Now, last thing, if you have something that you would like to see us talk about specifically, and we haven't, breached that yet, please send us an email. It's flow@ecamm.com. That is the place where to email us, and then we'll know that you're talking to us directly. Of course, if you forget that, you can always use marketing@ecamm.com. The same three people are going to see that. But we wanted to try to make it so that Doc could use his email program called SaneBox to keep things separated. That's all.
Yep.
Oh, this is super good. Okay, let me start this. I'm gonna save your question for the end, Trish, but stick around. We got you. That is a dope question, Trish. Come on, girl. Come on. All right, here we go. Let me do my sip of coffee real quick and take my deep radio breath. Okay, here we go. I think I'm ready. Stretch the neck. Adjust all the adjusting things. And let's see. Here we go. You guys are like, what the heck is Doc doing? I have to do this every time. You got to get your
shake it out, shake it out.
you got to get your mind right. That's what it is.
All right.
All right, here we go.
I was born ready, so.
Luis is going to put audio in after, so we're going to make a mark right here. Luis, here's your mark. I guess I could always cheat and mark like this. That didn't work. See? No, that's not the right one. Come on, Doc. All right, there we go. Welcome to The Flow. I am your podcast host, Doc Rock, the community manager here at Ecamm, along with my awesome co-host,
Katie Fawkes. So excited to be here.
Hi, Katie. Welcome to The Flow.
Doc.
This is our second episode of The Flow. The first episode is out and in the wild, cruising on iTunes right now. It's kind of exciting.
Super exciting. And I love today's topic because we're going to be talking about the future of podcasting. Where are we heading to?
I feel like I should have went and got a gigantic crystal ball or something of that nature.
That would have been really fun. We could have had, we could out on graphics afterwards. We can be looking through the crystal ball.
There we go. All right, cool. We're talking about the future of podcasting. I do want to say a couple of things. First of all, thank you to all of the people that downloaded the inaugural episode. I really appreciate that. It's been super great. Again, folks, if you got this and you liked it, please drop a review. Reviews are very helpful for podcasts. If you are creating a podcast, remember to ask your people to drop reviews. Reviews really do help your podcast a lot. It's how the aggregators know who to show the podcast to. So, yes, if you enjoy a podcast, by all means, drop a review. But this has been super fun. It's exciting. And although not my first podcast, it's really cool to birth another podcast. And every time it's exciting, I don't know what it's like to have kids, but I want to say it's like having kids. Except for
I was super excited. Yeah, exactly. It was super exciting this morning. I was listening to my usual podcast selection. I'm like my top 8 that I rotate through, and then all of a sudden I was like, oh, our podcast is today. So I was able to search it and find it and screenshot it and harass all of you good people to make sure that you were subscribed and liked and leaving reviews. So it was exciting. And if you're new to this, it's a really fun experience, and it was so much easier than I thought it would be. It came together really quickly. So yeah, it's been great.
Yeah, so remember on Tuesday mornings, you should find a new episode of The Flow in your podcast aggregator, whichever one you chose. And if you happen to like seeing this live, or you have questions about podcasts and you want to come and join us for the live taping happens a week in advance at 12 p.m. Eastern for now until the clock changes. And then you can come and hang out in a studio audience with the cool studio audience people who are hanging out today. So this is quite amazing. All right, gang. So let's get started with episode 2. And my favorite thing to say, Katie, would you read the first point to the people at home?
Where's podcasting headed in the future?
I really like this question. It took me some thinking about this, but there are a couple that I have in my head right now that I think are going to make a big deal when it comes to podcasts. And one of the first one is the quality of podcasts, the content quality and the quality of podcasts is going up. And now this doesn't mean you need to run out and generate a fantastic podcasting studio. That's not necessarily the only thing related to quality. It is extremely helpful if you do, but it is not the most important thing. What is the most important thing is the quality of the content that's in the podcast. And so what happens is, in the beginning, you just had podcasts where you could just kind of come and hang out and chill and sort of banter with your friends, and it was entertaining. Now that we're fighting against 2 million other podcasts, I don't think you have to do that anymore, right? I think now people are going to be looking for either entertainment or information, and they're coming to you because they're looking to you as a provider of that type of stuff. So I think it is extremely important nowadays that you pull good quality content. Take your time, write your
Yeah.
stuff out in the beginning. Have a show flow, if you will. You can deviate from your show flow, but you should have a basics, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean really, again, this is the entire point of this show, is to really get you thinking through the importance of planning it out in advance, having a workflow that works for what you're trying to accomplish. So, with this show, again, we're really trying to show the power of mixing together both video and audio, as well as text, to be able to be picked up by search engines. So, we're thinking through that, but always with a focus of the content first. So, what is the content you want to share? What's the value you want to bring? And what's the best way to get that out to the most amount of people? So when we're thinking about video podcasts, that's just being able to extend out the audience past only podcast listeners, into the world of, YouTube, and, likely other spaces that will trim up these video clips and be able to share them. So that matters more in many ways than, how good your camera quality is, whether or not you have splashy intro music or cool graphics. The actual value in the content that you're bringing is the most important part of any kind of live show or podcast or content that you're creating.
I agree with that 100%. Now, the other point that I think is very important to the future of podcasting, and something that I think those folks who are getting into this should probably take a look at, podcasting as a marketing tool. Now, that sounds crazy, but we're doing it. I mean, you watch us, people. This is how we do it. So we are Ecamm. We create a amazing software. By we, I mean Ken and Glenn. Create an amazing software that allows someone who wanted to start a podcast to easily download Ecamm, set up your scenes, invite your guests, and you're off to the races. Like very simple. Now, we could spend a lot of time just writing Google ads or Facebook ads, and we could spend a lot of time, just trying to show up in the Mac magazines or whatever. Or we could generate a podcast answering the frequently asked questions about whatever your product is about, showing how it works in a lifestyle, talking to the users, finding various use case and scenarios and explaining that through a podcast. Fantastic marketing tool. There's a couple of my apps that I love. Day One has been doing this for a long time. I love the Day One journaling app, and they use their podcast as a combination of community building, tech support, and marketing the app. I mean, before, when I first downloaded the app, I wasn't sure if I was going to go pro or not, and I should just listen to the podcast. And probably within about the third episode, I'm like, yep, I'm getting the pro version. And way back in the day, Phil Lubick used to do a Evernote podcast back when I was a Green Elephant guy. And again, I was all about the product from the podcast, and you generated your community and got look at all these people hanging out in a live studio audience. Our studio audience is our community members, and then there's new people that are going to bump in and be like, hey, that Mr. Moderator guy is kind of cute. I want to hang out over here. These people know what they're talking about, and they help you. So rather than just yelling out in the street like the old cough syrup salesperson, circa 1920s, you can be a community member of your own community and talk about things and invite folks into the conversation, have bi-directional conversation. Podcast is one of the best marketing tools out there after live video, of course.
Well, and it's crazy because not only are you're getting out in front of a much wider audience than you ever would have been able to with, kind of more traditional advertising and marketing tactics and platforms, but you have that immediate conversation and the immediate reaction and feedback from your customers, from your potential customers right here in the live chat. So, we'll get immediate questions and feedback and pain points, all of that we'll be able to use to continue to build and grow our content. So not only, are we making it easier for people on the other end who want to learn more about what this is like or whatever it is that you're sharing or teaching or talking about in your show, but you'll also figure out pretty quickly what's relevant and what's not relevant from your customers in a way that, used to require case studies and, a ton of time and effort and a lot of luck. So, now if you can be really clever about it and really strategic about it, you can get to know your customers really quickly, build those relationships, but you also can listen to them and hear what it is that they're struggling with or what it is that's important to them. I really think that in many ways that's the future of marketing as well as the future of podcasting and certainly of video podcasting.
That's very true. Very, very true. I really do love the concept of just sort of building a bidirectional conversation around your product using a podcast. It is one of the best ways to do it.
And it's fun.
It's fun. There you go. There's
really
the other
fun.
part. Yes, it's fun. And so I do kind of appreciate that. So yeah, that's my two number one things is I think improving the quality of your podcast helps. Yes, you can add more things to make it sound better and all of that. We discovered, not just discovered, but we've learned again, been reminded of this week, there is a fantastic tool called Crisp, which people can use if you just want to like get better sound out of the microphone you already owned. Crisp is extremely helpful.
With a K, right?
Yes, with a K. KRISP. Makes me think of British potato chips.
Yeah, exactly.
and then there is also, just again, having your content set up in a way and, building a show flow, just adding that little bit of polish. And this is something that Ecamm can help you out with, right? Using us makes it so much easier to be polished out of the gate. You eliminate some of the hassle. I would love to hear what Mr. Camera Junkie Luis thought about editing the first show, the way we sent it to him as a video first versus audio.
Yeah.
Me, instantly, when I edit audio only, I've done it thousands of times. It's different when you have something visual to work off of. And you can delete the video part. But to me, it's easier to edit with the visual perspective as long as your computer can swing that. Right,
yeah, absolutely.
Okay, let's get into the next question, Case.
What trends are we seeing in podcasting right now?
Oh, I like this. This is very, very, very good. Okay, so let me talk about the first trend, I think. The future in podcasting, not dissimilar from video in general or even social media, is hyper niching. And I know people hate to hear that. Because they want to do 7 things. I am a Swiss Army nerd. I completely understand. Like, you open up the Swiss Army knife, it's got all these various tools and things like that. My likes, my wants, my desires, my passions, they're like that. And it just comes with an ADD brain. However, people are coming to you for very, very particular thing, right? If all of a sudden the McDonald's started selling big screen TVs, I don't think any of us are going to buy a orange and red or yellow and red clown logo TV. That's just not how it works. People are looking for that hyper niche. I think it's time to drill it down. So here's a prime example. We're Ecamm Live. We could have made this podcast about a myriad of things, but we're making this podcast about podcasting, not about live streaming per se, even though that's our primary focus, if you will.
Yeah, absolutely. We're also forcing all of our live audience to hold all of their usual level of enthusiasm and questions about all things video and all things Ecamm fam and all the upcoming events that we have going on to other forums, other places, later times, because we do really want to be able to keep as focused as possible so that people who are discovering this podcast and joining us live in the future are going to be able to get the value that they want and get the check mark for the thing that they searched for, right? There's nothing more frustrating than searching for, this specific dishwasher that I have is broken, and getting like an interview with a plumber about the future of dishwashing, right? Like that's not going to solve that problem for you. So what we really want to try with this specific podcast, and what we'd encourage everyone to embrace, is really think through, what those pain points are and what the goals are of your listeners, of your viewers, and make sure that you're hitting that. It's okay to go off a little bit here and there, and add your personality and add those real authentic moments so people can get to know you better, but they are there to listen for a specific reason. And that can be entertainment. There's lots of amazing podcasts out there that are, really meant to be conversational and to, and to have debates and to be entertaining or comedic. But if yours is about a set topic, then you should try to stick to that as best as you can.
I'm sorry about my random acts of comedic.
No, I think you can have random acts of comedic. I keep thinking to, my usual podcast lineup. There's one I listen to that's literally a hilarious comedy duo read obituaries out loud to each other, right? Super specific, meant to be really funny, and now they add every single episode there's an additional kind of weird death related topic or weird things that they've added in, but they've stayed on topic even though their topic is so incredibly specific. But they've built this really big audience, and they've built this audience around it, and people that come to listen. And again, theirs is totally entertainment, but they've found a topic and they've really niched down, and they're doing really well as a result. It's like nothing anyone has heard before. They have a very specific audience. So, whether it's educational or it's fun, pick your topic and your focus, figure out who your audience is, and really stay to that. That's where we're going to be able to differentiate ourselves against the 2 million, the 3 million, the 5 million in the future, other podcasts that are out there.
It's funny you say that, because you know that my secret love is TCO, which I'm pretty much not in their demographic, but hey, it's so good. And I watch true crime stuff
You're
anyway.
Reinventing.
Because I just like the process. I think I wanted to be a detective when I was a little kid. I don't know why.
Same.
I really enjoy that.
Same.
So what's really amazing is they're taking a topic that's really a lot to handle, but they bring brevity to it. And they bring brevity to it in a respectful way. It's like, hey, we understand families are hurting. We understand victims are out there, but we want you to take a different look at it. And they've actually been able to help solve some unsolved crimes, which I think is incredible that there's people searching around. I recently discovered this thing called the Jane Doe Network, or the Doe Network is properly what it is. And, they're able to find people through their podcast listeners of this genre that just exploded on podcasts, which is true crime. Now, yes, there's a whole network and that other stuff, but the network doesn't allow the people to have conversation around it. All of these forums and communities and discords that are happening, these people are working together and they're helping out families get closure on situations. And to me, it's chicken skin, right? Not because it's scary, but because it's endearing that people are able to help each other like that. So that's one of the advantages of a hyper niche, is you can build a community of like-minded people, and oftentimes like-minded people can help move the needle. There's a story back in the day where TiVo was getting themselves into some trouble and not really realizing what they were doing because they were all over the map, and the community helped formulate what ended up being the product that ran the game for a minute until we got video on demand. So, it's very much so that just all of you guys hanging out in the Ecamm community, as you guys talk and you talk about things you want to see in the app, they happen like just yesterday. So this is why Hyperniche can help. As a creator, it lets you know what your audience wants, and you might be able to add things to your product lineup and fix it. Or you guys as a total community can work together as a voice for whatever it is you're talking about, whether it's ancient Mesopotamian spin art or, cycling, who knows, whatever you guys are into. So
absolutely.
Very cool. Okay, we got another part to this. I think that the second part of this, of where the future of podcasts is heading, and this is going to sound super cheeky, people. I don't mean this to sound cheeky, but it is the truth. It's video podcasting. or vodcasting. And I know this sounds weird as you're watching us record a vodcast or listening to what was taped in front of a live studio audience. I think the vodcast brings a whole nother element, and our whole first episode was why video podcasting. So we cover that in detail already. But the reason why I see this as a future, number one, I strongly believe this, and I'm going to keep saying it until it's real because that's how manifesting works. YouTube is going to make a podcast segment of their situation. And the minute they do that, the faucet is open. You know, Black Friday, Walmart, VCR on sale for $10? Yeah, that's about to go down.
I mean, and we're already seeing that anyway. I mean, you have platforms like Spotify, for example, that are adding on video podcasting and kind of going back to what you said last week. You know, you had this where it was very segmented out. You had, video podcasts on this side and audio podcasts on this side. And then they, kind of came together into this one space. And now we are seeing, the platform starting to notice the value in video now that more and more of us have the right equipment and are doing more live streaming. I think you are going to start to see many more of these platforms say like, oh, shoot, like people do want to be able to, to consume content in this way. Or, maybe they, for the most part, listen to the podcast audio only while they're, driving or running or doing chores or whatever else. But they, but they want to be able to tune in to a live studio audience, or they want to be able to do these kind of video events. More and more podcasters who are doing these, instead of being out there on the road doing these kind of road shows and events, are doing these video experiences so that they're able to interact with their fans. I think you're going to continue to see more of that, and you're going to see the platforms, be it Spotify, YouTube, probably even Apple, jumping into the space of really wanting to be able to embrace that and giving a space for video and for fans to be able to interact with video.
It's funny that you mentioned the video event side of this. I wanted to add that to my checklist, but I thought it might scare people, and it shouldn't be scary. I just know that when I say things, it scares people because they think I'm going to make it expensive.
I'll say it,
but it doesn't have to be. I really agree with you. I think, okay, for instance, so at social media marketing world, when we had the Ecamm party, it would have been really cool had we, known that we were going to do this. We didn't even know we were going to do this back then, to record a live studio taping of the flow with everyone there. And it would have just been fantastic. We had a lot of people in the room. There was a lot of energy and a dog. It was really cool. It was fun. And we could have recorded the day version where everything was nice. And then we could have recorded the night version where we had amazing cocktail with the E printed on the top that I don't know what was in it, but it worked. That's all I got to say. I'm going to leave it at that.
Yeah. And you have platforms like Moment House, for example, that are really being very clever, and they're partnering with a lot of these like very, very well-known, large, huge fan base podcasts and podcasters, and are creating these really amazing virtual experiences that are, that were originally designed to help during the pandemic for podcasters who had, an active tour schedule and weren't physically able to get out there on tour. But I think now you're starting to see, and likely going forward, a hybrid mix of that, where, you're going to have some podcasters that are going to hit the road and do kind of an in-person meet and greet with all of their fans and, attend all these events. They're likely also still going to have that virtual aspect for fans who can't get there, who live, in other countries and it's just too cumbersome, or to make it just feel really like inclusive and special and inviting in a way that an in-person event may not be able to do, due to, budget or special guests or, schedules or a number of other things. So I think it's a really neat, it opens up a ton of doors that, if you're sitting there and you're saying, oh, I'm an audio only podcast, haven't really thought about video, or, maybe you're a streamer, but your podcast is separate and it's still audio only. I think that you don't necessarily need to fully jump into switching it all over to video podcast. You could start by doing video events for your community and for your listeners and see what they think about it and go from there. It at least gets you some of that video content and kind of your foot in the door.
That is a brilliant transition way to do it. Like basically do live streams and, live events or video rundowns. Like, say you covered something in detail that required a visual aspect, you can generate a video tutorial to go with it. You can do after show parties in your Discord or whatever. So I like that. And speaking of transitions, okay, now we can make it radio oriented. Let's get into our last point for today. Katie, can you read this to the studio audience?
All right. So, what can podcasters do to make sure that they're staying relevant? How do you stay relevant?
Oh, this is such a good question. This is a good question whether you're podcasting or not. This one actually.
How can we all stay relevant?
Yeah, it actually made me spark the old noggin a little bit. I think one of the most important things you could do is really know your content. I know that sounds obvious, but it is. Okay, so
it is, but it's obvious for a reason, for sure.
Yeah, it's obvious for a reason. Thank you for helping me find a way to say something that my brain just wasn't going to catch on to. Let me explain this in a nutshell. Anyone who's ever rolled up on a 5-year-old and accidentally mentioned the word dinosaur or something dinosaur related, you will get a 15-minute TED Talk about the Triceratops and the way that the Triceratops technically should have been the most dominant dinosaur, but Tyrannosaurus Rex, or T-Rex as they call it. I don't know why they call it Tyrannosaurus Rex. It's just T-Rex. But man, like literally a super long TED Talk from a 5-year-old about dinosaurs with a level of confidence as if they were Malcolm freaking Gladwell. So the people who say I'm shy or I'm this or I'm that, go 5-year-old again, because you weren't fully understanding what that meant back then. So you were willing to tell anybody who would listen about race cars, fire engines, dinosaurs, or your dogs, your cats, your grandmother's house, Disneyland. Some people never grow out of it. Rob, looking at you. So if you go back to your children, your nieces or nephews, anybody you can think of that's under the age of 10, and the level of confidence that they talk to you about whatever is their particular thing is that week. I believe Katie's is like 8, and I'm sure she will have a full TED Talk with you, right?
Yeah.
And no problems. Like, she would just sit down, Mom, listen to this. And Katie's like, okay. And she's crocheting or knitting. And then there's this full-on Scarlett the TED Talk. So thank you for coming to the
exactly.
TED Talk.
And I think what goes along with that too is the level of enthusiasm and passion. So, think back to what you were most excited about when you were a kid, and think to what you're most excited about right now. So that is the topic that your podcast should be about. That is the topic that you should be sharing, is what excites you and what makes you passionate. So passionate that it overcomes some of that fear or the camera confidence challenges that you've been having, or all of the reasons why you shouldn't, or the reasons why not video, not yet. That level of passion should overcome that. So, what's the thing that you're great at? What's the thing that you love to do? What do you want to talk about? What excites you? And if it's not a topic, maybe it's a co-host. Sometimes it's easier to do this kind of thing and be on with someone else to bounce ideas off of. Don't let the tech get in the way of you being able to do something fantastic, and remind yourself, of that, not just the level of kind of, saying and blurting everything out. That comes from an excitement that many of us have kind of lost or put under the table for a bit, or think it's not as relevant to work. It is. You're in the job that you're in for a reason. And so you have some level of knowledge in it. You have something to give in that category. If you can find it, if you can niche down to the specific thing that you're awesome at, that makes what you're passionate about slightly different than everyone else, then taking it back, you've found that place. So double down on that. Get excited about it.
Yes, it's so funny, but it's 100% true. Like, that level of effervescence that comes out of you when you are on about something that you're on about. For me, it's Red Sox, the Raiders, Manchester United, Japanese whiskey. Like, again, I have a whole bunch, but I like the concept of teaching people how to get out what they have stuck in them, because
Yep.
yes, it is. And for instance, for me in my neighborhood, I don't get to have lots of conversations with people about my love for Manchester United. Right? There's in America, we're not a very football round country. We're a football oblong country. And so everybody wants to talk about the Raiders. I'm wanting to talk about Manchester United. So on a podcast, I can generate that because it's global, right? I can have that conversation. I see, it could be old video games. It can be, something like an old small block Chevys, not just vintage cars or muscle cars. We're going to take it all the way to the small block Chevy. You can go extremely specific. Kathy Hester is currently doing all this content around a product called a Ninja Creamy. Family, this is an ice cream making blend.
It is the season for this.
And not everybody want one. And I'm like, I can't believe she had me looking at that thing. And I'm like, I do not need that. I don't want that. But I was invested.
But you kind of do.
Stop it, Katie. Stop it, Katie. Before Katie makes me buy this ice cream machine, let me cover the next part about staying relevant. To me, this is my thing. You can disagree with me, and that is kind of the thing. I believe is to challenge the assumptions, right?
Yeah.
Anybody who knows me really well knows I'm very good at this. And it's part of my critical thinking. Like, I've labeled myself a critical thinker at some point. I've studied the process. I've looked into it on deeper scale. I believe that there is something really, really enlightening about challenging the assumptions. Now, challenging assumptions doesn't mean you have to go all out to try to negate things. It's just about to look at them on a deeper level. So, for instance, assumption is, in order to make a podcast, you need to make a silent room with a couple of good mics and you can just talk. And my assumption is you should start with a video because it's so much easier. The level of interaction and just seeing your co-host as you're recording as opposed to just listening to your co-host adds a different level of excitement, even if you delete the video. So us creating a video first focus for podcast, that is challenging the assumptions of what a podcast is, right? What does live streamers look like? Gamers who are really, really good at some first-person shooter or, Madden or whatever. No, live streaming is business people reaching out to help people, like bring that, my side helpful. The whole industry is talking about how do I generate a side hustle to make more money, and I'm out here talking about how to generate a side helpful to make more money. Help people, you make more money. It's super simple. Yeah. So challenging assumptions, regardless of what's going on in your industry, is a fantastic way to stay relevant.
Absolutely. Yep. Couldn't agree more.
All right. Then here's the last one, and I want everyone to listen to this one closely. One, it will warm my heart. B, you're never going to believe this is going to come out of my face. and
Get ready.
I was going to say B and 3 is 1, B, and 3. you know this. And the last point about this is I think you can use this to your advantage. Here we go. Let me stretch for this one because it's going to be a good one. Regardless of your gear, I want you to treat your podcast show like it's being produced by NPR. I'm going to say that again. I don't care if you're starting in your bathroom with your iPhone. Believe it or not, in your car with the doors locked tight and the engine off is a fantastic audio booth. It is basically silent in there unless you have a really old car. I don't care where you're starting. Treat your show like you're running an NPR level show. If you're unfamiliar with an NPR level show is, go download one. Hidden Brain is one of my favorites.
This American Life.
This American Life, right? Download one of these NPR shows and listen to it. Hear how they do it. And like, I'm just starting out. I don't know exactly how they do it, but model yourself like that. And here's what I mean by that. If you're going to take up golf today, many people will take up golf today and say, I want to model myself after, Tiger Woods or Jack Nicholson or somebody famous, right? If you're going to take up cooking, you're going to follow one of your famous chefs that you like. And it's the same thing. If you're going to take up podcasting, NPR is one of the best in the business. Ira Glass, come on, fam, right? Malcolm Gladwell, another one. I mentioned him twice a day. What's going on?
I know, it's a Malcolm Gladwell day.
Jad Abumrad, any of these people, listen to their podcast, hear how they do it, and treat yourself like that. Don't always start out with the, hey, I'm just beginning mentality, because it's easy to stay there.
Yep.
You can be just beginning, but you don't have to treat yourself that way. You could treat yourself like 1,000 million folks are listening, right? So spend a little time on, again, your running show, a little bit of polish, sign your guests up when your guests come on, give them the full red carpet treatment, because here's what's going to happen. You're going to accidentally get a humongous guest on your show.
So true. Yeah.
And they will say, oh my God, you will not believe the level of intent this person had. And we were in the same place about the time, but I got a podcast invite or a live show invite from initially Evie Heineman, who's an Ecamm member, and later Kirk, I say Nugget, it's Nugent. And they sent this list of what they wanted to happen when you came to their show. And I was like, wow, impressed, right?
Yeah,
and so
they nail
I
the
brought
experience.
a different energy. Yeah, good.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, they nail the experience, and I couldn't agree more. And I was talking the other day about what brands are looking for, as you're trying to get up and running with sponsorships or, trying to partner with brands. Making people feel special is one of the top things that you can do, whether you're like a brand new podcaster or you've been doing it for forever. Having that experience where they feel as though, even if they've never been on an interview before, they feel safe. They feel like you made them look great. They feel like it's a piece of content that they would want to share with someone. You've made it really easy for them. All of these things are so important and not that hard to do. It's not that hard to make people feel special. Again, get out of your mind like all of the tech and overthinking the process and wanting some special form. All of that will come. Focus really instead on making that person feel like they are the most special person to you, and it is the most important thing. It is the biggest deal. It's all of that goes a really, really long way. And you're right. Like that really is what the NPR shows of the world are fantastic at, is that they make it feel like it is an experience both for their listeners, as well as you can hear it in in how they bring guests on. There's a level of professionalism and confidence that some of it comes with time and some of it is just faked. They just put it on and believe in themselves and get there. So whether it's guests or or by yourself, just make yourself feel special, make your guests feel special. Make your listeners and viewers feel special, even if there's only 2 or 3 of them on. They showed up. Make it feel like it's a huge party. So don't let those things get to you. It'll all come, but it'll come when you double down and believe in yourself and believe 100%. In the reason why you started.
There are so many things that doing it cautiously is actually more dangerous than believing in the process and going at it. We famously have a rock here in Hawaii, in Waimea Bay, that tourists love to climb up there, and things are going to jump off like Acapulco. It's not that far. I think it's like a 20-foot drop. But
Yikes.
The people that get hurt are the ones that change their mind at the end. The ones that go up there and give them, as we say in Hawaii, we say give them. The ones that go up there and give them, jump off the rock, chee-hoo, perfect every time. The ones that hedge their bets, belly flop, back flop, pain, screaming, somebody got to go get them out of the water. So it's kind of like that. Podcasting is very much like that. If you go into it knowing that you got this, which you do, and there's a lot of us here to help you, go in and again, just, you guys, I know a lot of people will remember this. If you're a car person, you're a car person. So the car people will remember this. When you got your first bucket, and I mean like real bucket, like you needed vice grips to roll down the windows, a little bit of tape to keep that side mirror just with that joint adeptness that you have. But to you, you might as well have been driving the Benzo. That was your whip. I remember my first car was a 77 Pinto. It was school bus yellow, and it was a Pinto. If you ran into the back of a Pinto, they would explode. But to me, I might as well have been driving a Lamborghini, man. I would get out there and clean the mirrors and tires, like had the aerial just right, put the little golf ball on the end so that you can find your car. Like all of the things. Like I spent a lot of time babying that car because to me it was everything. It was all the grass cutting and all the summer jobs and all of that, right? So treat your podcast like you did that first thing, whatever you were really into, whether it was your first car or, your first dating experience, whatever it is, treat your podcast like that.
Yeah.
It will grow a lot better. It just does. So
Absolutely.
family, that was all that I had for this particular episode. Katie, you got any last parting words you'd like to hit the folks with?
No, I mean, other than you can do it, which I feel like is our ending for every live stream and for the podcast and for everything that we've been saying. I will just keep saying it over and over to all of you. If you want to do it, you can do it. There's lots of help. There's lots of support and resources. It's not like back in the day where you had to go to the library and get a bunch of books and spend an insane amount of time. You have a lot of people you can connect with. You have videos you can watch. You have tons of resources. You are able to do it. It's up to you.
It's very good you say that. And if you're just starting out, perfect. Ride with us because then you can ride with us the whole way. If we get lost, hey, you get lost. if we find, the what is that, the Magic Palace or whatever, then you'll find the Magic Palace with us. So ride with us. If you're thinking about it, start your podcast now. I have the trailer already in the old aggregator. I have the first episode, and this episode will come out next Tuesday, just in time for the next live recording. So you have time. Just go ahead and get it together, people. Come ride dirty with us. It's okay. Like, we will all roll in there, smelly spinach in the teeth together, but somehow we are going to get there. So I appreciate you guys.
High-fiving. We'll be high-fiving the whole way.
High-fiving the whole way. So I appreciate you guys for listening to this. If you are listening to this in your car ride, in the shower, in the bathroom, wherever your podcast listening happens, at the gym, I appreciate you for listening to this.
Thank
Again,
you.
if you enjoy this, please leave us a review on your favorite podcast aggregator. And don't forget, if you want to be part of the live experience happens every Tuesday at 12 p.m. Eastern. That's 6 a.m. Hawaiian. and come in, enjoy it while we're here live. The audience is going off. We're going to go tend to them and answer some questions. But you can also jump into our Facebook group or our Discord. In our Discord, we'll have a section for you to conversate with the rest of your podcasting brethren. So I appreciate everyone for being here. Katie, you make this so much easier than if I had to explain this by myself. And you know what's odd? Last week, I record my podcast right after, and then I do my live stream, and it's not the same.
I'll have to come as a guest. You'll have to invite me on.
It's so much better when Katie is here. So I appreciate you guys. Thank everyone again. And that, my friend, is another wrapped up session of The Flow. Just a reminder, if you haven't already, you can find us at flow@ecamm.com. If you have anything you want to ask us or an episode you'd like to see us cover, you can email us at flow@ecamm.com. flow@ecamm.com. And of course, you can always just, if you're on a video version, scan this QR code and it will get you started. Thank you guys once again for listening to another episode of The Flow.
Thanks,
I feel
everyone.
like we need to sing this one out. The Flow.
The Flow.
Okay, that's just the marker so that Luis knows what to do. He'll know to put the music right there. Guys, let's studio audience this up. Let me kick into questions real quick. First of all, I got Trish. I hope she hung around. If not, I hope she catch this on the aftermarket show. She said, I'm 26 episode in. Is it still worth creating a trailer?
Congratulations. 26 episodes is awesome.
True story. True fact. Most podcasts never make it past 7. So as I posted episode 8 of my podcast day before yesterday, I'm like, okay, I made it. Yes, 26 episode is a thing. So first of all, congratulate yourself on that.
Congratulations.
Yes, it is still worth doing a trailer. You can even do a trailer episode if you're going to dive into a series. So I'm going to go into a series where I'm going to do a bunch of stuff about, say, podcasting tools, right? So in the middle of the flow, we can be like, hey, gang, coming up over the next couple episodes, we're going to talk to you about our favorite podcasting tools. These are going to be shorter episodes of what we normally talk about, but for the audio audience, I'll just explain it, tell you where to get the resources and things like that. If you want to join us along on the video side, where I'll be doing some live demonstrations of these tools, remember to join us on Tuesday mornings at 12 p.m. Eastern. And yeah, once again, for the next 8 episodes, we're going to talk about some of our favorite podcasting tools. That's it. We're talking a minute and a half out of there. That wasn't even the whole minute.
The cool thing too, Trish, is that you now have, like, I mean, depending on how long your podcast is, hours of content from the last 26 episodes. So you could, use a tool like Descript, or if you are awesome at editing, tweak together, pull together, trim together a couple of the best points, the best highlights from those 26 episodes. That would make an awesome trailer, not only for your podcast aggregator, but also to use out in social media, to put into your community, to send out an email to everyone that says, like, hey, like, in case you missed it, the last 26 episodes have been awesome. Here's what you missed. We'd love to see you in the next one. Like, it doesn't have to be a trailer as the very first kickoff. It could just be something that actually pulls together all of the value and the awesomeness of your podcast so far, so that you get people excited to join you.
Yep, 100%. Mr. Brian, first of all, thank you, Mr. Brian. So happy to have you here. Brian is one of those people that just makes you laugh no matter what. You look up a Canadian guy in the dictionary, there's Brian. It says, our intro, outro music selection process for this show.
I love
Katie
this question.
Said, something jazzy and funky. And I said, dope, I'm a DJ. I got this. So I just went to Epidemic Sound and we got it.
It is absolutely true, but it's actually a really great question, because we chatted back and forth with DJ Rob and and a couple of other people, and we'd want actually to do an episode on, intros, outros, music, creating a branded song that goes in and out, all of that. I think there's a lot of information out there. There's a lot of information that's missing. There's a lot of, like, preconceptions. I even had preconceptions over, like, pricing for some of that, who to hire, how to figure all of that out. So we're sort of on, like, as Doc said, I was like, let's for now just do jazzy intro music, because it vibes with the flow, with the name, kind of with the feel of the show. But I do think that we will get to a point where we kind of dive deeper on that topic and bring you all with us and talk it all through. So yeah, it's a great question. I think there's a lot that goes into it, so it'll be a good topic for the show. And
so you do need to know this. Buying your own branded song isn't as cheap as you might think it is.
No, it's not. It's expensive.
We all kind of should have known this stuff, but you just don't, because we listen to music.
Yeah, you don't think about it.
You don't think about the creation process. It takes a long time to create these things. And for the people that can do it really fast, say Keith or Rob, they can do it really fast because they got 30 years of doing it really slow, right? So similar to your law guys, right? There's somebody that went to the exact same school as you, Brian, that charges half of what you charge, and there's somebody that went to your school that charges twice what you charge. The difference is their level of experience or even level of confidence. So it is a thing, but the advantage of getting into a branded thing is it becomes you and your community song, so you just know. I have the podcast where they say something from Epidemic or Storyblocks or whatever. And at first, they're the only ones, and it's cool. And then when you hear it somewhere else, you go, oh, it kind of jaded my love for that song or whatever. So even for me, which is funny because I use Epidemic Sound, love Epidemic Sounds. It's one of the greatest things since sliced bread. I'll be watching a vlog and some completely different genre. This genre is of this Australian girl who goes hiking into all of the really dope secret mountains in Japan, and then she drops one of my tracks. I heard City of Mine instrumental on this lady's hiking video, and I was like, Hannah, damn it, that's my song, girl. If you play my song again, I tell you what. And it's funny because that happens, but that's an expectation that I have to have because I did pull it from an epidemic. And so that's why it is worth getting into your own thing, but we'll get into that later. Super good
Yeah.
question, B.
Great question.
Andy had a valid point, and I appreciate you for putting this up. Andy said, don't get frustrated if people turn you down for guest requests. Just keep
Yeah.
pushing, recording, and do it. He 100% correct. And eventually, you just never know. I reached out to Ray Edwards and was like, man, love your book. Love it so much so I keep giving my copies away. I recently gave my copy to the boss, and I was just wondering, man, how would you feel about coming on the show and talking to my audience? Because I really, really, he's like, bet, what? I watch your show. I'm like, what? You watch what? I didn't even know, right? He goes, yeah, I'm always lurking in the background watching the show. I like what you do. I like the way
Hey, you
you
never know.
handle it. And I was shaking in my boots. Like, I had a fangirl moment. I was like, oh, okay. And then had him on as a guest on the show, and then officially got to call him Uncle Ray rather than me just calling old people Uncle. And then I got invited to go to one of his workshops and got invited to substitute for him for one of the elements of the workshop.
Yeah.
And all of this happened because, like Andy said, I just asked. Like, I pulled a Sammy. And I was scared. When I did it, I was like, there's no way. He probably got some, bot or assistant or somebody that checks this stuff. And, well, he does. But the assistant was like, hey, Ray, this guy's bugging you to be a guest on his podcast. He's like, oh, I love that guy. And then the rest is history. Like, I can just email him whenever I want. I can call him whenever I want. It's a thing. So you never know. You just don't know. So thank you, Andy, for that. That is glorious. All right. David said, can you just post a podcast? I know that last week you had a trailer and one other thing. Yes, you can.
Yeah. You can, you can basically do just about any format that you want. I mean, yeah, you could just post, you could record audio only, and like you could record your whole 26 episodes of your podcast in like 26 hours setting and upload them all at the same time. You have a ton of different options there, so you can. I think you'd want to be obviously strategic about what you want to do and accomplish, but absolutely. I'm loving this question. Gretchen is asking about whether or not we're going to record an episode at People of Video. Yeah, 100%. I think the only, and I haven't even told Doc this. So we're also going to be at Podcast Movement. So we'll be. I can't know if we'll leave him before then. No, yeah, we'll be there at that point. Yeah, so that we'll definitely be live recording from Podcast Movement. We're going to a bunch of events in the next little bit here, so we'll be roadshow podcasting. Good times.
I love that. So we just talked about live events for recording, taping live is amazing. Yeah. And it'll be cool because when I say studio audience, you guys will be able to go, yeah! That'll be kind of cool. Anyway, Rachel, super good question. The recommendations on creating a simple camera setup for two co-hosts in a podcast in prep of starting a video podcast. Okay, so here's the most common format: table, round table, square table, or couch, right? There's a table. You take your table, okay? You put camera one here, facing at that person, camera two here, facing at the other person. That's it. You create an X, right? So you got camera one, camera two, create an X. Take your iPhone or the one that you don't think that matters or whatever, put it right in the center and catch both people. That's it. So you're going to do a 3-camera shoot, not 2, because you want a portion where you have both people together, so you don't always, unless you're like us, if you're going to do it with just 2 cameras because you don't have a third, then do it like we do. We have one of these, but then you can also have this shot and this shot. That's it. That's all you need. So we do it virtually as all get until September, which I just found out from Caleb yesterday. I'm actually staying in Boston longer. Thanks for the heads up, Katie. I'm going to miss Karen's birthday. So I told Caleb explain. Caleb, you got to explain to her. And I told him, that's okay, Karen. You have 45 of them. Get over it.
Oh, no, you did not.
Kill me. Anyway, so yeah, that's super simple process. Don't freak out. You can change it later. Just record it how you record it. I think people really enjoy watching the glow up, as I call it, watching you go from, outside in your backyard to filling stadiums. Like, people want to see that, And to me, not my favorite band in any way, shape, or form, but I saw Green Day as children, the band Children, in Telegraph Avenue when they first started. And it was a random night. I was in the Bay visiting a friend, and I got to go see them. And it was cool. Small little club. There's probably 60, 70 people in there. When they became famous, I was in radio, and I got this tape, and we're going through the Friday. We opened all the, thousands of envelopes, and we're playing the music. And, the song came out. My PD program director was like, we're going to play this. I think this is a cool song. And then later on, I saw the video on TV, and I was like, hey, I seen those kids when they weren't called Green Day back then, just Mike and them, so to see that Green Day is one of my favorite bands, which is funny because I'm hardcore hip hop and house music, but I relate to them because I saw them as nobodies. They were just kids in a stinky, sweaty club, and now they're freaking Green Day. So I even buy their coffee. Let's put it that way. So I think people enjoy watching you on the come up. So start where you start, woman. Get at it. Enjoy that. This goes so cool. And Rich, this is a good question. I'm fitting to say yes, I like it. Don't know why. I have no rhyme or reason to this whatsoever, but I like it. I think it does work. I know that Tom does it this way, so does Jared. Most of my friends do it this way. So maybe in this particular case, I'm just following everyone else's lead, but I do believe that seasons is a thing.
I think it's nice. I think it gives you time to take a little bit of downtime and come back again with a new feel, a new vibe, a new topic, etc. I think it's a nice kind of reset, for lack of a better word.
See, this happened to me too, Todd. When I put City of Mine, it was a random placeholder that I was going to change into something else. I even had talked to Keith and a couple of my other friends about making me a song for my show. And then Sammy started it, and then the whole community jumped onto it. And so now I can't change that song. I am technically somewhat over that song, but I can't change that song because my community will have my skin if I did so. Shuya, what's up, boo? There's Hawaii people in the house. Good to see you, fam. I appreciate you. Okay, Abby says, should people be paying for guests to come on, hearing that folks are now promoting their podcast interview fee? And you know what? I don't agree with you. I don't like that neither.
I don't like it.
So I ain't paying nobody. Jack.
No. I don't like it. And I think if you get into that, you're going to miss a bunch of quote unquote smaller or less influential guests that are probably awesome for your, I think you can just get caught up way too much in, that sort of celebrity big name vibe. Yeah. Don't go there. Don't feel like you're missing out if that's the case. Wait that one out and see what happens. Cause I feel like that's not going to last.
See, now I just figured out who I want to sing The Flow Sweeper. There she is. It's Shelly. I don't know if you guys know this. Shelly sings on Sundays on her show, and she is so good. And I was cracking up on my Green Day thing. She actually recorded an episode where she sang a Green Day song for me, which is just hella funny. It's just hella funny, and it was so good because Karen actually hates Green Day, so I had to play it for her. But then she's like, "Oh, well, Shelly's singing it, so it's cool." And I was like, wait a minute. Every time I play Green Day, you tell me to turn that mess off. And then Shelly sings it. And then she's like, oh, okay. So there you go. Thanks, Shelly. That's so good to see you here. Thank you, Trish. Your question was amazing. I appreciate you. Star Wars, I don't know if you see My Office or not. Huge Star Wars fan. But you can't see them. They're in the background back there. My kids, they're back there. What podcast standard specs you keep in mind when editing, that you could take us through the flow editing to the final MP3? I can give it to you in a nutshell. Here's how
we will do an episode.
We will do a whole
more
episode.
Specifics, yeah.
But in a nutshell, drop it into Descript first and clean it up in there. And then the raw video gets chopped up by Mr. Camera Junkie. He's my analog at this point. Since I taught him a lot about the editing, he edits the way I edit, so it's not much different than me editing. Thank you. I appreciate that. It makes my job easier. And then what I do, once I have a finished product, I send it to Auphonic to do a last polish and attach the image to the podcast. Auphonic will automatically put it at the right level. It's called -16 LUFS, loudness under full scale. And Auphonic will send it to Captivate for me. Actually, so will Descript. Either one of those will send it to the right spot. Descript will actually send it at -16 LUFS now to your podcast, Buzzsprout, Captivate, wherever you do it.
They sure will. Yep.
I have always trusted Auphonic. To me, getting a stamp from Auphonic is like getting a good housekeeping seal. Like, I know that it's solid. So I let it go up from there, and then I go in and mess around with the show notes and schedule it to come out. So it's really simple process. We will do an entire episode on how we edit because, well, it's a thing. Boom, 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 boom.
All right, let's take the final couple questions
we
here.
will cover that in a different spot because we're sticking the podcast right here. That is a lot, but that's not it. And I'm just checking. I'm listening to Todd. Where's the last question? Boom, boom, boom. Follow up. So after 125 Epins, all of a sudden have a new season. Man, here's the cool thing about it. You can kind of do whatever. I don't think anyone's going to freak out.
No, no one's going to.
You can just say, hey, I'm going to go into a seasons-oriented mode because I think it'll be easier for people to catch segments that we want to do. So that's one of the reasons why I think you can do that. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I think you'll be okay with it. So, yeah, good follow-up, Rich. I hope I made sense. If not, you're going to be hanging out with me for a week solid because I'll be irritating you when I come to Dallas. So we can go in deep into detail. So thank you, Rich, for helping us with our Dallas road trip. Like, I think I can't say enough how much that's been awesome to help us out with that, Rich.
Thank you.
You're amazing.
Yeah.
And, gang, that's it. We did another flow. And, yeah, this time we only went 15 minutes over. So,
yeah, absolutely. We're nailing it.
Yeah. So, guys, if you have questions, again, you can reach out to us, flow@ecamm.com. Of course, you can reach us at marketing@ecamm.com. The advantage of using the podcast email is that I can just see that in a section. We can get to it a little bit quicker. And if you have special ideas you want to know about, let us know. Also, hop in the Discord. We can conversate in the Discord and, take you deeper levels. And if there's any special tutorials or whatever you want to see, let us know so we can get those, popped out for you. So I appreciate it. This has been so cool. And please, 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 if you enjoyed the first episode, or even if you enjoyed this, jump onto your podcast aggregator and leave us a review. The reviews that we get and the shares that we get in the beginning will go a long way. I just want to do something that takes like 1 second before we leave, just so you guys can see where we're at. Dun, 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 dun. Drums, please. We got 50 downloads of the show today. Oh, 49. Woo-hoo! I need one more download to call it a thing. But hey, I'll take it. I'll take 49. It's close to 50. Getting 75 downloads is average for podcasts throughout the whole podcasting thing. If you get 75 downloads, you are part of the what they call 99 percentile or whatever that word is. So yeah. So one more person download that sucker and we're in there like swimwear, or 25. I can't count. Anyway, thank you guys. I so appreciate you. This is dope. Katie, I know you got to go grab them kids. So don't forget, gang, you guys can grab it here. Check out this signal right here, flow.ecamm.com. Also, you can cue the R code and get your podcast on. Aloha, people. Appreciate you.
Thank you, everyone.